So, this was kind of spooky. The other day, I woke up at 4:12 a.m., and I'm not exaggerating because one word was blazing in my mind like it was being shouted in a cathedral. Domicide. Over and over. Like my brain wouldn't let it go until I wrote it down. And what hit me right after that was this phrase: the loss of place, space, and face in modern society. Now, usually it takes me forever to pick a topic, but this time it felt delivered, like a message. So today I want to talk about something I think a lot of people are quietly experiencing right now: the death of home. Not just a building, home is a feeling, a place in the world, a sense of belonging, and how that connect to something many of us relate to: the call of the lone wolf. If you've ever felt unrooted, isolated, well, like you don't fit in a modern life the way other people seem to, stick with me because this might explain why. So first, what is domicide? It's not a word most people know. I didn't even hear it until recently. One definition describes it as the destruction of dwelling places, making an area unlivable. Another says it's the planned, deliberate destruction of someone's home, causing suffering to the person who lived there. And the word itself basically means domus is home, side is killing. So literally, home killing. And once you hear that, it's hard to unhear it. Because domicide isn't just something that happens out there. It happens on multiple levels. At the largest scale, domicide shows up as the loss of place. Think about war, displacement, people losing their homeland, or having their neighborhoods destroyed. That's not only tragedy, it's identity collapse. Because for many people, home isn't just where you live. It's your roots, your history, your community, your language, your ancestors, your sense of belonging. So when that's torn away, it's not just moving. It's being unmade. And domicide can happen through war and colonialism, abusive regimes, environmental destruction, climate impacts, land becoming uninhabitable. And even culturally, we're also seeing major shifts in what home used to mean, like the breakup of traditional family structures, communities scattering, people moving constantly, and shared values collapsing. Whether you see those changes as good or bad, the result is often the same: less stability, less rootedness, less place. Now zoom in a bit. There's also domicide as the loss of space, and this hits a lot of people in modern Western life. This is about the disappearance of what sociologist Ray Oldenburg called third places. Third places are the spaces that aren't home and aren't work. They're where life happens. Places like parks, libraries, community centers, local cafes where people actually talk, churches, clubs, bookshops, hobby spaces. Basically, spaces where you belong without needing to perform or spend money. Here's the issue: a lot of those places are disappearing or getting replaced. And what's replacing them? Commercial spaces. So now, when many people think, where do I go to be around others? They don't picture a park. They picture the mall, a chain cafe, the grocery store, somewhere you buy something. So, social connection gets quietly rerouted into consumption. And over time, that creates a weird trap. You start confusing spending money near humans with actual belonging. And it's not the same. Now here's the deepest part. Domicide isn't only the loss of place and space. It's also the loss of face. And by face, I mean your inner sense of self, your soul, your connection to life. It's that feeling of being unrooted, drifting, feeling like an alien on your own planet, watching society from the outside, not knowing where you belong, not knowing who you are anymore. When this happens, people often try to soothe it with distractions: endless scrolling, online personas, addiction to stimulation, obsessive self-focus, numbing out, escaping into virtual worlds. But underneath all of that, the real ache is, I don't feel at home anywhere, inside or outside. That's what I mean by loss of face. It's a kind of soul loss. And honestly, is it any wonder anxiety and depression are rising? Or that loneliness is becoming a massive health crisis? Because if home is dying on the outside, eventually it starts dying on the inside too. Here's something important. If you feel lonely, powerless, overwhelmed, or like you don't fit in a modern society, that doesn't automatically mean something is wrong with you. In fact, it may mean the opposite. There's a quote by Eric from that basically says, if you haven't been completely alienated, if you can still feel, if you still have dignity, if you still care about other people's suffering, then you're almost guaranteed to feel lonely in a society that rewards numbness. So if you feel disturbed, it might be because you're living in disturbing times. You're trying to stay human in an inhuman system. That's not weakness. That's sensitivity. That's sanity. And this is where the lone wolf comes in. When you zoom out, the lone wolf isn't just someone who's alone. It's an archetype, a role. The lone wolf often becomes what I call the spiritual wanderer. Think the hermit, the mystic, the shaman, the sage, the outsider with insight, the one who walks between worlds. Not because they're better, but because they've been forced by rejection, loss, or deep sensitivity to see what most people avoid. They stand slightly outside the crowd, and from that vantage point, they notice things, patterns, truths, wounds. And eventually, if they survive the loneliness, they can become someone who helps others find their way back home too. In a weird way, the spiritual wanderer is what emerges because of Domicide. Because when the outer home collapses, you're pushed toward building an inner home, a deeper home, a spiritual home. Let me be clear, the world is going through a lot. There's real grief, real horror, real heartbreak, and some of it is unbearable to witness. But inside this collapse, this loss of place, space, and face, there's also a strange opening, a calling. Because when society loses its elders, its wise guides, its healers, life creates them again. Often through suffering, often through people who became lone wolves first. So if you've been feeling like you don't belong, like you're wandering, like you're searching for something you can't name, it might not be a personal defect. It might be the early stage of the path where you stop looking for home out there and start rebuilding it within yourself. So one day you can help create it for others too. So that's Domicide, the killing of home, loss of place, space, and face. And the lone wolf is often the person who feels it first and deepest. But maybe that's because you're meant to become something more than a person who doesn't fit. Maybe you're meant to become a spiritual wanderer, someone who finds meaning in the chaos and brings a different kind of wisdom back into a world that's starving for it. If this hit home for you, no pun intended, let me know in the comments.